Let's start with creating our first font. And the first thing we need is a font, of course. So I visited this website here and I chose this font here. They are all supposed to be free, so just pick one and download it. But please note, it has to be a TrueType font. Go back to your project now and let's create a folder where we will store our game files. And for that, just right-click, select New and select Directory. And let's call this one Assets. Then move your downloaded font to the directory we just created. Navigate to this folder and include it here. And it should be visible in the project as well now. Great, so the first thing we need to do now to be able to actually use fonts is to include the font library. And we can do this by typing in engine init ttf. But let's not do this here, since we have two functions now to actually initialize engine modules. So let's write our own function for that, and let's call this one load engine. So copy these two lines here and let's write our function here. And paste it. Of course, we need our engine variable here. And we need to return the result. Okay, the next thing we should do now is to catch the result of this function here. And of course, first we need to check the result before we call this function. Okay, so let's use this function inside our main function now. But first we need to write a prototype again. And since it looks pretty much the same like the createLine function, we can copy this one and just change the name. Then we move this here and type load engine. This will keep our code clean and more readable. So let's now create a font and let's write a function for that again. And let's call this one create font. And of course, we need to pass the engine variable here again. And creating a font is very simple. Just type in engine font and create. And since there are no other tasks to do for creating a font here, we can directly return the value of this function. Okay, so the first thing we need when creating a font is an unique ID again to identify this font. So let's create one. And let's make this one a constant again. And let's call this one default font. And let's pass a value of 1. Okay, let's use it here. And the second parameter is the relative path from your executable files directory to this file. So in this case it should be assets and the name of your file. And the last parameter is the font size in pixels, and I choose 22. And that's all you need to create a font. Let's write a prototype here again. Okay, so what we could do now is to call our createFont function inside our main function here but I think that our code would become very messy if we would do this. So let's write a function in which we will load our complete scene, so the font, the line, or even future assets. This will keep our code clean, so let's add the function below. And let's call it load scene. And of course, we need the engine as parameter again. So let's create our line inside this function here. And let's create the font inside here as well. And of course, we need to return the result. Then create a prototype here again. This one is called load scene. And instead of calling create line here, we will call load scene. Okay, that's it actually. Let's run our application again. And this is our line again. But as you can see, the application terminated with exit code 0, so everything is fine. Well done! Our application has successfully been created.